Today we're going to talk about getting to where a person can do one really great pull-up. The pull-up is sort of the fundamental exercise in rock climbing preparation, and when you first start thinking about, I want to get stronger for climbing, other than trying to get your fingertips strong, probably the next place you look is your ability to pull. We've seen a lot of people try to get stronger at pulling and fail to do so. And so over the years, we've developed a pretty good progression in order for people to get better at this exercise. One of the things you see in the gym day after day after day is someone doing what they think is a pull-up or is part of a pull-up, but they're really not mastering that range of motion. And so we first look for technical correctness. Technical correctness in the pull-up starts with a straight elbow, hands both on the bar. And a lot of people have heard this idea that having a straight elbow at the bottom is somehow dangerous or risky. I don't think that really plays out. So I want to have people start with a straight elbow and then finish the movement with their neck or their collarbones at the bar level. Very often we see what Charlie Manganiello calls the drowning man pull-up, where the person is sticking their face up, trying to slightly get their head above the bar, but really your entire head and most of your neck should be above the bar at the top. If you can't do the full range of motion, you want to work on that first. We want to really, really work on that. And so as we go through these variations and these progressions into a full pull-up, we're going to master that part of it. The really, really important thing is that the first and last rep in any set should look the same. If you're starting to get really fatigued and getting sloppy and swinging around on the bar, time to stop the set. Let's worry about getting strong and having control through the range of motion in this really, really important exercise. It's obvious that we can go into a gym and use a machine that is a lighter load than body weight and get a little bit stronger there. And like the lat pull down machine is the classic example. But what happens with this particular machine is there's a difficult transition from doing pull downs on a cable, seated in a chair, to actually doing pull-ups on a bar. And a lot of people will get to where the pull down gets hard and they no longer try to advance it. And what we really want is to get to where climbers can not only do pulling, but then be able to lock off with just one arm while they're doing difficult movement. The second variation a lot of people try to do when they're getting to do pull-ups is to do an elastic band assist. And these elastic bands are really common in the gym right now. We've used them for years and years, but one of the things that I notice with our athletes is they start to use these bands and they never quite progress. They always go back to using a 1/2 inch or a 1 inch or 1.5 inch band, and their pull-ups never quite get clean. And I think part of that is that the band assists you the most where you don't need very much help at the bottom of the range of motion. And when you get to the top of the range of motion where most people need the most help, the band becomes very, very slack. The issue there is that changing assistance you get from the elastic band is not the same as the overload you're going to put on your muscles in the real world environment. And so the transition there is a little bit of a painful one. The third variation a lot of people will use is a partner assisted pull-up, where the partner holds the feet, the athlete tries to do a pull-up, and there's some assistance with the legs or with the partner lifting. Again, this is a little bit hard to transition into real pull-ups from because we're not sure how much that partner is assisting, how much we're pushing with our legs. And so although it's a decent variation, I would try to stick with what I'm going to present now, which is this 7-step movement progression that helps people get to doing actual pull-ups. What we do with this variation is to start at the top and master the top of the movement. So we'll take a box or a stool or what have you, get set up to where you're holding onto the bar and you're in that good top position, which is head completely above the bar and the hands right at the shoulder level. We also have people start in this reverse grip position, which sort of seems strange for climbers, but with the reverse grip position, a weaker athlete can initiate a stronger pull. Most people are naturally a little better at like what we would call the chin position. So step one is to do a 3-second hold with your head above the bar. You're just holding that top position. If you can hold for 3 seconds, 3 different sets in a workout, that's awesome, and you're done with step one. The most important part is making sure that we have that isometric strength at the top. Step two in this progression is to start in that same top position. So step off a box, hold yourself at the top, and then slowly lower yourself through that full range of motion. The most important thing there is to try to keep a consistent slow lower. And if you find a place where you just rocket fast downward, we're seeing a weak part of the range of motion there. But step two is starting at the top, slowly lower all the way down. Step three is what we call the quarter chin. And we start at the top and we lower until we're a quarter of the way down. And usually that's where your eyes are about the bar level, and then you pull back up. And when we can do 5 reps at that level, we move on to the next step. Remember, each one of these, we want to do 3 sets of the desired number before moving on to the next step up. So with the quarter chin, I'm going to do 3 sets of 5 repetitions, lowering from the top to somewhere about eye level and then pulling yourself back up. Once I can do that, I'm going to move to halfway down to where you go to a 90-degree elbow. So the bar is slightly above your head when you've lowered down and come back up. Same thing, 3 sets of 5. Then we go to a 3/4 range where you'll come down to where your elbows are about the eye level. And then you'll go to a full range chin on the next step. And once you can do 3 sets of 5 full range chins from the top, we're getting really, really close. And so then I want you to flip your hands around into the pull-up position, and we're going to start working into those 3 sets of 5s with the palms forward. And that transition's a little bit hard since we've been doing a lot of chinning, but most people can make that transition in a couple of weeks. And then once you can do a few reps lowering from the top and going back up, go ahead and go for it. You can now do pull-ups. The most important part of this is that you're overloading your system in a way that you are going to adapt to really quickly. If I leave you on a pull-down machine or I let you use bands the entire time, you're going to undershoot it quite a bit, and you're not going to overload that system as much as that system can actually handle. Now, with all of these pull-up variations, with any exercise, you've got to watch out for overuse injuries. If I start doing really highly loaded pull-ups and I'm starting to feel shoulder pain or wrist pain or elbow pain, we need to back off, we need to change gears. The number one rule, and I've said this a bunch of times, in the gym is to not get hurt in training. The second rule in the gym is to prepare yourself to not get hurt in the performance environment. And then the third rule is to improve performance. And so if we're not meeting those first 2 criteria, we're blowing it, and we want to go back to a lighter variation until that overuse or slight injury improves itself.